A few months ago, a single piece of cardboard sold for $16.5 million. Not a painting, not a gold bar, a Pokémon card. And the craziest part, the buyer thinks he got a bargain. We're talking about Pokémon. Most people think a kid's game, a few colorful cards. In reality, it's the most successful entertainment brand in history. Bigger than Star Wars, bigger than Mickey Mouse, bigger than the entire Marvel universe. Over $100 billion in revenue. And most of it doesn't come from video games. It comes from cards and toys. I'll show you why this all started with a quiet boy who collected beetles, why Pokémon survived 30 years, while every other hype died, and why grown adults today treat cardboard like gold. The last point will change how you see collecting forever. Stay till the end. Tokyo in the 70s. A quiet boy named Satoshi Tajiri spends every free minute outdoors. Ponds, rice fields, forests. He catches beetles, sorts them, trades them with friends. His nickname at school, Dr. Bug. But then the city grows. Concrete eats the meadows. The ponds become parking lots. The beetles disappear. And with them, a feeling Tajiri never forgets. The searching, the finding, the trading with friends. Years later, he sees two Game Boys connected by a cable. And he doesn't think about high scores. He thinks, what if beetles could travel through that cable? 6 years of development. His company almost bankrupt. And in 1996, Pokémon is released. On a console everyone had already declared dead. 1996. Remember that year, because now comes the first stroke of genius almost everyone misses. Pokémon launched in 2 versions, red and green, and neither one had all the monsters, which means you couldn't complete the game alone. You needed a human, a friend, a cable. Pokémon built friendship directly into the game mechanics. And the slogan, gotta catch 'em all. That was never just advertising. It's a psychological hook, because our brains hate incomplete collections. A gap in the album feels like a splinter in the mind. The rest is explosion. The show conquers television. The first movie makes kids cry worldwide. And then come the trading cards. Schoolyards turn into stock exchanges. Teachers ban the cards and only make them more valuable. 151 monsters. One gap is one too many. But then something happens that almost nobody tells. In the early 2000s, Pokémon becomes uncool. The kids from back then become teenagers, and teenagers are ashamed of what they loved as children. But here's the crucial part. They never threw the cards away. Boxes, attics, basement shelves. Remember that. It matters in a second. 2016, Pokémon Go. Suddenly, millions of adults are walking through parks catching monsters with their phones. Whole city centers full of people staring at screens and smiling. One of the biggest mobile launches in history. But the genius wasn't the technology. It was the timing. The kids from back then were now in their late 20s. Old enough for nostalgia, young enough to play. Pokémon Go didn't conquer a new audience. It woke up a sleeping one. 2016. The year childhood came back. And now the number that puts it all in perspective. Over $100 billion in total revenue. That puts Pokémon ahead of every other entertainment brand on Earth. Ahead of Star Wars, ahead of Harry Potter, ahead of everything. But look closer, because here hides the real business model. The lion's share doesn't come from the games. It comes from licensing, cards, plush toys, clothing, breakfast cereal. The game is just the engine. What sells is everything around it. $100 billion. Most of it from cardboard and plush. And if you're just now realizing how this system really works, that's exactly what this channel is for. Stick around. Now comes the part about the cardboard and the gold. 2020, the world is stuck at home, and millions of people open the boxes in their attics. Those old cards from back then, suddenly worth hundreds, some worth thousands. YouTube stars open card packs in front of millions, like treasure chests. Between 2020 and 2025, spending on trading cards rises by over 350%. 350, not among children, among adults. Why does a grown adult do this? Behavioral science has an uncomfortable answer. A booster pack is a slot machine made of cardboard. You never know what's inside, usually little, sometimes a treasure, variable reward. The strongest hook your brain knows. Add artificial scarcity, limited print runs, special editions, and companies that seal cards in plastic and give them grades. Like an inspection stamp for cardboard, toys become an asset class. And then, February 2026, the Pikachu Illustrator card, one of the rarest in the world, changes hands for $16.5 million. A record. What was paid for wasn't cardboard. What was paid for was a story that exists only a handful of times on this planet. $16.5 million for one card. But honesty belongs here. Not everything glitters. Resellers clear the shelves before kids even get a chance. Prices rise faster than any reason, and whoever buys today only for the profit is playing a game they don't control. Every bubble feels smart until it bursts. And still, Pokémon doesn't die. Why? Because Pokémon never sold monsters. Pokémon sells memory. The brand grew up with you. First the game, then the cards, then the app. And today you buy your child their first pack and pass on your own childhood feeling, a nostalgia loop that renews itself every 20 years. Remember the boy from the beginning? The boy who caught beetles never wanted to build an empire. He wanted to save a feeling before the concrete ate it. Searching, finding, trading, belonging. And that's exactly why people treat cardboard like gold. Because they're not collecting cards. They're collecting moments of their own lives. And memory is the one thing in this world there's never enough of. I'm Poppy. Did this make you think? Then subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.